And hello and welcome to another scene set in Liverpool Dark Screw Edition. As
Thank you.
as Jacob Clay, a cub nearing the end of such carefree days, has been, upon self-reflection and some nudging from pain, has decided to seek out Double Tap. That's really all he knows him by, actually, his deep name, just Double Tap. Just kind of wanders through the streets. Still light out. It's evening now. Sun slowly setting. It's quite a lovely, lovely purple. The end of summer, or the beginning of autumn. And he makes his way on over to where Double Tap's apartment is.
Yep. Seems like it's a basement place, pretty near to where Millionaire Mile is, but not in Millionaire Mile, if that makes sense.
Jacob indexes this information for later. And so he says a basement place. What does it look like?
It looks like a pretty... It looks, honestly, like a pretty typical apartment, except it's furnished really fucking nicely. Yeah, it looks like a pretty typical basement apartment.
Okay. Well, I mean, you knock on the door first. So you hear a buzzing and such.
Double tap gets up, walks over, looks through the door, opens it and goes, "Oh Lord, the 5-0. How are you?" He sort of smirks and sits down. You notice that the ashtray on his desk is fucking full to the point where it probably needs dumping, but he obviously hasn't dumped it.
Pretty good myself. Managed to bullshit my way out of a chaperone.
Yeah, it's probably wise. Too many Garou together, you know.
And well, I mean, probably have more of a passage done before we head to the Amazon anyway, so it's not like it even matters at this point.
Yep.
If I get shit kicking, I get shit kicking. Whatever.
He offers you a seat on the couch. He's sitting behind his desk. He's typing away at something.
You'll take a seat on the couch and kind of just looking over, typing up a list of supplies or something.
Moving money. There's a new player in town who's looking for people's less than sterling movements and is trying to collect a pretty hefty tax. So I resolved to pull my money out of that and use it for, well, I resolved to take my money out of it so that they can't get a penny on me, or they can't get a penny from me. He shrugs.
Well, that's how the game's played in the underground, I guess. You get what you can keep.
Essentially, yes. I've tried very, very hard to not lose this money, and I don't expect to lose it now. So
Things are a bit more rigid above ground. Not necessarily fair, mind, but definitely harder to take away on a whim.
yeah.
Anyway, I kind of wanted to, well, I mean, I came over here. You kind of know I want to talk to you already because I'm doing that. But I mean, it wasn't just me. I talked about it with Ping.
He sort of stops and starts studying you.
I mean, she half convinced me to come over here. I was thinking about it, but, you know, she gave me the push.
Okay.
So it's my own idea.
Good.
Yeah.
So, what did you want to talk about soon to be Nautico?
Well, I guess before I start, you don't. Yeah, Ping hasn't told you anything that happened a couple of days ago, right?
Nope. I've been busy.
Okay.
I haven't even seen Ping in them.
Well, I guess that's kind of her story to tell. So.
I'm still studying him. Takes another drag on a cigarette. Are you going to make me wait all day?
I'm just filtering, because, I mean, if there's something I've realised, because a better part of it is that we tend to hold on to grievances. It's kind of hard to let it go. So I don't want to have any misunderstandings, because I think that's what I've been doing. But I'm not sure if you've misunderstood me, but...
Not particularly. And he just kind of just kind of says, not particularly, and just keeps on looking. Taking drag from his cigarette. He's not staring, but he's definitely, like, noticing any, like, weird tics or anything that you're doing. With that sort of a lawyer's calculated look.
That makes Jacob uncomfortable. He became a police officer, and half the reason he became a police officer was specifically not to be a lawyer. So,
yep.
He could either be that guy, or he could be a guy on the street. He prefer to be that guy on the street. So, just says, I've just been talking about things, and I think I've seen enough of you to know that I think we have quite a bit in common, despite being on opposite sides of the law.
We're only on opposite sides of the law for right now. That'll change soon.
Yeah. I've been thinking about things on sets.
I can tell what kind of things.
Yeah. It's kind of related to what happened with Ping a couple of days ago, but
then you're either going to have to fill me in on the story, or, as of right now, I'm just confused. I don't like being confused.
Okay. I don't really want to beat her to the punch because what she went through was worse than me. But, well, myself, Ping, Coulson, and Stonecore and Katori actually all went out for a meal. I mean, I'm not going to be Galliot, it's not going to be some fantastic story, and it's probably for the best, because otherwise it'd be a fucking horror story. You can tell it's going to be that, because the fucking changeling was there. We went out for a meal. It's just, you know, just going to a restaurant. I had lasagna.
He glares at you. The point, please.
Well, it was just a normal night at first, but no one really knows what happened, but the doors jammed and locked. The gauntlet became ridiculously thin, as in you could just step over freely. Spirits started showing up. Fog started grabbing at us in the kitchen. Whenever we close the door and reopen it, someone would be dead. At one point, a door opened, a dead guy fell out. Some chick's boyfriend, who she thought was cheating on her. And then the door just slammed shut.
Sounds intense. You sure you don't need a theurge? You raised an eyebrow.
That was what Ping was doing. And then, well, the spirits showed up. Ping thinks they were spirits of vengeance. And they wanted a debt settled.
He raised an eyebrow.
They were human spirits. They were upset and angry because a lot of them had died. Well, all of them had died because they had seen what Guru were. The veil had been lifted under them. And they had been killed, as the spirit put it, because they were an inconvenience.
Okay. You can tell that his response is one of sort of a measured listener and not nonchalantness.
And the way we were to pay this debt, as some of these spirits took over the bodies of Stonecore and Katori, was either we sacrifice someone who had not seen, and they just dragged a random fucking helpless human in the bar up to a fucking table to be sacrificed. Because that's going to solve our issues by killing more people for being inconvenient. Or Ping takes a ban to never harm another human who for being inconvenient, for being in the way.
Okay.
And Ping was trying to find a way out of it. She's trying to find, because obviously we can't keep either of us. Well, we can't. I mean, if we could keep that promise, we would have taken it. But we know we can't. Because at some point, there's going to be a human that remembers us.
Yep.
Because I've heard of those. Or sees us on camera. Someone makes a mistake somewhere after we get careless. And then we have to kill carelessly. Or we kill this human. And this is the thing, I don't want to shit talk, but I'm just gonna say what she said. Coles wanted to kill the human, and she said, "I will not weep for a single human." And she argued with the spirit, interrupting Ping, by the way. Which, I mean, I get it. She's Lord of Wolf, but you don't interrupt a Theurge's job ever. Like, that's like interrupting me when I'm trying to make a fucking judgment call. Like, I'm a Philodox, you know, you don't do that. And she says, "You humans destroy the environment around you. You hunt my people, my wolves. I'll not weep for the simple human." And her spirit says, "But I do not hunt carelessly, and I am not human, and you're not a wolf. But your kind have killed carelessly because we were inconvenient, because we were in the way. And she retorted by saying, well, only humans destroy the world around them. And the spirit found that point to be a rather mute subject, because he stated that he knew the Guru's purpose, that they were, well, that apparently it was only to destroy things. Which, pardon?
We are the fangs of Gaia.
I know. But that was not the spirit's point of view. He said that over time, killed an inordinate amount of people.
We have.
Once that did not deserve it. Nicole's just said she would not weep for one human, and that we should just get this over with and do what the spirit wants and leave. Proving the spirit's point.
Somewhat, yes.
That, yeah, we'll just kill this human because he's in the way. And I guess that irked me more than most, because have I told you that I grew up in the nation unknowing? Or rather, I didn't grow up in the nation. My kin were unknowing. I was unknowing. And I'm a cop.
As were mine.
So, I guess it's easy for both of us to imagine then if one of us was just doing our jobs and we were on the street and then we see something we weren't supposed to. We were just in the wrong place at the wrong time and we didn't react, and then I'd have to die. Because if I didn't change, that would be what would have happened to me. One of those angry spirits.
He sort of cants his head to the side.
And I would have been murdered. Because a lot of us don't really seem to care, or are careless, and either make mistakes or just don't care if they do. And I would be dead, and I would be with them. And I don't really know how I'm supposed to reconcile the concept of saving the world if it means not really leaving anyone left on it.
Well, anyone you know, but or in a state that you currently understand. I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm merely pointing it out.
Because I really wanted, all that time those spirits had out, I wanted to say sorry, and I wanted to take that ban. And I wanted to weep for every single person that died. Because they didn't deserve to. Because they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I am then confronted with the reality that a lot of us don't care, even remotely. And a minority of us even encourage it.
Wow. He's sort of still looking, sort of thoughtful.
We paid for debt that night. that that was a quota. And the bodies are going to rack up again. And then they're going to come back. Because those spirits are rightfully not going to take fat amount of suffering lying down. And neither would I. Because all it would have taken was for me to have not changed. And I probably wouldn't be here. And I would have probably been murdered. And no one would have batted an eyelid. And it irritates me that because I have yet to meet a lupus that does care about human life. Coles is a goose step away from being Smiles.
Oh, I know.
He already thinks there are too many humans. Snowballs thinks there are too many humans. Stone Cold doesn't
wonder for Black
away, I think.
Of all of our alliances and friends within the lupus, Stone Claw is probably the biggest. Literally. Let me ask you a question.
Shoot.
Are you here seeking absolution? And he sort of stares into your eyes. Not a stare down, he's just looking at you like wanting to know the truth.
I want to know how you feel. Because I've seen you say a lot of things. And I think we got a lot of things in common. And we both want the same things in a lot of ways.
Hold on 1 second, bro. Sorry. Minor out of game thing.
That's fine.
Pardon. Continue. Although double tap at current is listening to the question in its fullness.
Well, so yeah, Trig was just saying. So I think we want a lot of the same things. We just have a different way of going about it. And I haven't really had a chance yet because I'm constantly kept in a fucking wooden cabin in a park.
Yeah.
So that's that. I can't really do much, and I think it's beginning to gnaw at me. Including whatever the fuck has been happening recently. Maybe it's those fucking vengeance spirits, I don't know, but I've been so on edge ever since the start of October. I don't fucking know why.
Yeah. I think we've all felt it, Cub. It's the reason for my movements. I'll say that at least. Instead of attempting to interpret how I'd feel, you need to interpret how you feel. What about this? What part of this bothers you so? Is it the fact that the Gauru kill? Is it the fact that the Gauru kill not wantonly, but with little regard for the laws of humanity? Is it... I'm asking because I legitimately want to know.
I suppose it is. I suppose it is the proclamation of being a victim and yet victimizing others so easily. I don't think I'm a victim. I'm big fucking furry tank with superpowers. I understand that grievances of lupus are legitimate. Like, I don't understand them as in I haven't been there, I haven't felt it. But I know it's something that needs to be addressed. I wanted to make it a priority, but the way it's a two-way. Understanding is a two-way street. Making an effort is a two-way street. If people are not making an effort to understand me and just bash me over the head with their problems, and then often proclaim that no, you don't really care about well, human life. I mean, yeah, my family's kin, so they're off limits. But what if they weren't? You know, if we wanna go about the arguments that I hear all the time of what about this, what about humans destroying the environment, which is a fucking false equivalency, if I've ever heard one.
Somewhat, yes.
It would. You know, you can't be a victim and then just say, well, I'm just going to have my revenge now, or I don't care now. That's... If people are just going to be a hypocrite about it, then they're just on the same level that everyone else is on. I have no... Like, I don't think that... It's short-sighted, and I understand foresight is not something... I don't mean to be... I mean, this isn't racist. This is something I've heard before. That Lupus are driven, but they are not born with foresight because that is a part of the Hommid mind.
Is a part of the Gauru mind either way, but yes, continue.
If you're not willing to learn that, then I can't... It feels like I'm being blocked out, but for all the wrong reasons. I understand they don't need me. I don't care if they don't need me. I'm not doing this for their validation. Like, I'm not doing this because they'll tolerate me. Smiles isn't going to fucking tolerate me either way, so that's not really my problem. The problem is that I don't think they seem to understand that they're on the same level as everyone else. They treat those around them with some sort of elitist disdain, and that's not really fair or accurate. And it's getting grating, I'll admit. I may not understand things, but I attempt to learn. That's why I spend so much fucking time in my Lupus form, just trying to learn it. Might not have made much headway, but at least I put in an effort.
Yep.
Got a lot of Lupus lessons, but are there many Hommid lessons? I think that would help, considering we're literally surrounded by a city. Maybe not in other wild places, and fair enough. Different methods for different situations, but if you're in a city set, you should probably be learning how to interact as a human. And using human things. Victor got torn out because he was fucking around with an old used fucking engine, a car engine, I think. Like, Paul's called him out now. I'm like, why? He's just learning. At least that's what he told me. That was secondhand, but I don't think he really cares. He's still using the engine.
Yeah.
But he's just tinkering, you know? He's not even doing it. He's just learning how to, you know, because it's a useful skill. Because technology is ever present, especially when we're surrounded by a city. But it's... Okay. So, you hear about Gaia is everything, right?
I'm sorry?
Gaia is everything, right? Gaia is what's called Tellurian? I should probably say this to you rather than calls, because I'm pretty sure I'd get throated. But can I just say nature's fucking overrated as shit?
He sort of looks at you. No, it's not.
Well, what I mean is that, you know, yes, Gaia is nature, and Gaia are those trees, and Gaia is also this couch I'm sitting on, and Gaia is also this shirt, and Gaia is also that TV.
Yep.
And it is your car and the fuel you use to start it and go on your merry way. It is Gaia. She is literally everything. And nature's great. I'm not trying to pull it down. It is, and it deserves to be protected. But if someone wants to expand the natural wild. I'm not sure why they're complaining about that here rather than doing it over there. Because one of these things accomplishes nothing. Because we can't expand the wild here, not in a natural sense, not as in expanding the forests, the mountains, and such like that. We're surrounded by a city. We live in a park. We can't do that. That's not a possibility. So I don't know why they're arguing for that here rather than just doing it over there. Because if they want to do that, this isn't a set where that's a possibility. This is the front lines. This is where we fight the worm and hold our corner. But this isn't the set where we're expanding the forest or protecting large land masses or expanding on them. Because we're not in an area where that's a thing. Like, we're in a city. I mean, I'd be impressed if you could build a forest in a city, but I mean, if there was any tribe I trusted, it'd be the Glasswalkers, not the Talons or the Furies. That's not their specialty. So I don't know why there are so many criticisms about that. That's not because it doesn't do anything. It's what I'm doing right now. It's me venting. It's me venting impotently. But I'm trying to do it in a controlled environment where someone can point out how I'm being a douche and how I can improve myself. It's not me bashing cubs over the head with how everything but the wild is terrible and evil. And how it's responsible for all the world's problems, literally. I mean, that's not entirely inaccurate, but it's also not even close to half the picture.
Yeah.
And you're going to be hard-pressed to convince people of that when they literally are surrounded by a city. And worse still, you're not going to accomplish anything when you're literally surrounded by a city, at least not your current goals. I just don't understand it. And I don't understand this rejection of the mind. Because I'm not rejecting my author. I don't understand it particularly well, but I don't reject it. I try to understand it. I accept it as a part of myself. And to some extent even enjoy it. I'm fortunate in that I do.
Yeah.
But I mean, the mind is what makes us capable of compassion to begin with. It's what makes us capable of foresight and planning. And yes, toolcraft. We make clays, we make fetishes. This is toolcraft.
Yep.
It's history, laws, the litany is a product of the human mind. Not all of it, as in it's obviously influenced by Wolf Heart, but the Homid mind is what gives it, is what is able to construct it.
I see what you're getting at, but you're incorrect.
What do you mean?
When you say it's a product of the human mind, you are wrong. It is a product of the Garu. Now, that being said, did a shitload of Hamids probably get together and bang this thing out? Absolutely. Now, the good thing about the Hamid way of thinking is primarily exactly what you said. It's foresight, it's planning, it's looking to the future. The bad thing about the Hamid way of thinking is we can be, let's just say, grossly negligent of other points of view.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm trying not to be. That's why I've been spending some time with Stoneclaws, and not necessarily with Calls because I never really had the chance. But because I know that is an alternate point of view, and I don't want to ignore that. But I feel like that's what's being done to me, and that is also it's almost like the worst aspects of the Homid mind have been adopted by some of these lupus. It's strange. I don't really understand it because it feels like there's so much more you could do with it. But I felt like it's given some, well, it's given form to their resentments, I guess. But
it has.
I mean, I'm not painting everyone the same brush here. Like, obviously, I'm not saying all lupus are like this, or that even not all of the ones I've met. But I've really yet to see a lupus adopt a perspective of value on that specific perspective of life. Because it's basically, it's discriminating against certain forms of life as to which ones are actually worth keeping alive.
Yep.
Now, I can understand that from a pragmatic point of view, but I don't understand that from a philosophical point of view.
Well, to explain it as best I can, being no lupus myself, I can say that it is trauma. It is trauma that has been inflicted over the course of generations. I also can say that I don't know if this is because of the lupus mindset or not, but they don't seem to understand the nuances that surround our various the various breeds. And so since they don't, and they don't want to, they are going to consider only their perspective. And the thing that's a bitch to get is the fact that they don't, I mean, on some level, they don't have to consider our perspective. Because they have their own perspective, which they're sure is right. And so, yes, they're not going to view anything in particular we say as any sort of with any sort of value, to use your words. Now, the problem with this on a basic scale is, as you said, it's the resentment, it's the hatred for what we can perceive as no adequate reason. They perceive differently. I do not agree with their perceptions, and I will never agree with their perceptions. But that seems to be, from what I've gathered, their perceptions. Now, he looks.
I don't necessarily think I disagree with their perceptions, more of their along the lines of their methodologies. I mean, I don't agree with the whole, I'm not smiles, or I don't even remotely close. Like, obviously, I don't want humans to die at all. But, if we're going on that perspective, then I completely disagree with that one. But, obviously, agreeing that it's, they have priorities that need to be addressed, but it's still that line. I'll not weep for a single human. Well, would you weep if it were 20? Would you weep if they were mine? Would you weep if they were wolves? Like, if I had to sacrifice a single wolf, then would you be upset? Because that's the problem. If we're gonna use the whole "what if" argument that seems so common, it's just empty. It's I hear a lot of life is. I mean, even Olaf said this to me. All life is sacred, so humans don't matter as much, and they're faking. But I feel like there should be reason to care more, not less. It's not just one human. It's a man with a family who is thinking, living, and being. They're not cattle or prey. I mean, Ping has rather wisely broken the illusion to me that we're some sort of heroes, but even then, we're soldiers. We don't kill carelessly. A soldier protects and guards and does what he has to do, but he doesn't slaughter en masse. That's nothing but a simple butcher. If we're doing that, that's not being a soldier at all. I can't really imagine someone calling themselves a soldier if they do that. That's one cannot even call themselves a warrior, or even a hunter, more than they are just simple murderers. But I feel like we run away from the truth sometimes because we're afraid to admit it. And I feel like a lot of us are not confronting reality. And we think we are. Oh, we're just doing what we need to do. Get rid of that human or whatever it is. That's just one example. We get rid of this thing. We fuck over someone somehow. Might not even be human. That doesn't change that it's wrong. Because I feel like the argument the Spirit was making is that this is wrong. And the whole point, I think, of that sacrificing a human is proving his point. I feel like that was fairly obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like some people deliberately avoided that lesson because it was inconvenient to learn it. And I think that's what it comes down to. It's inconvenience, it's a lack of effort. And I don't really see how I can respect an individual who does not. And I don't mean that as in course, because I mean as in I know this is going to be something I encounter and it's something that's going to gnaw at me until eventually I snap and say something. Or I need to find a way to work around this. Because I'll be honest, I'm clear, if I'm going to be as preachy as fuck, you're not going to be able to stand me. Fuck. I'm going to be that asshole. I'm going to be worse than fucking Hotfix.
He sort of looks at you.
I consider myself very much a protector of what's not just the world, but what's on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the reason I fight. That's the reason a lot of us fight. We fight because we have a family to go back to. Because we have a son or a daughter, or a mother and a father, or an uncle or cousin, or friends, or colleagues, or a job, or cubs, or a mate, or a wild place. And I feel like that's missed. I feel like some of us are fighting just because we do. And I feel like almost we've missed the point. I feel like we're not fighting for ourselves, we're just fighting because of fighting. Like it's gone on for so long that we just kind of consider it part and parcel. That, yeah, we're here to fight, and that's it. No, and that's one of the few things I consider a dangerous perspective.
It is very dangerous.
Because then it justifies literally anything. But if we are what we fight, then what was the point to begin with?
Well, that's the $10 million question, good sir. Now, insofar as your thoughts, or rather, your finding out what I think on the subject of murdering a single human to continue the practice of murdering other humans who get in our way. Personally, I would say that I would not be opposed to the idea, but I also recognize that at its core and on its face, it would look like I would be ignoring the lesson same as everyone else. The reason why I am the way I am is because I grew up in a system that very specifically taught me that that's how you handled things. I would say that currently there are usually very, very, very good reasons to murder, outright or not, a human that has seen what we are. The veil must not be breached. Period.
Yeah, no, I understand it's more important. I think it was just the lack of any real caring behind it. Because I understand we had two options, and there was effectively only one solution. But that felt bad. I remember oh god, you absolutely know him. William. Remember William?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was talking to him a few days ago, and he was kind of coming around to the whole concept of Guru. But one thing that always irked him was, and he told me this, is that, well, that means I killed a bunch of people, and it also means you kidnapped me. How can there be no consequences for that? And Ping told me there were, and that he would spend the rest of his life being a guru and atoning for them. I think that's the best way to look at it.
It's a damn good way to look at it in my perspective.
But yeah, I mean, my answer was a bit different and a bit longer, and hey, preachy. Nothing else, I'm self-aware.
Good. You'll need that.
Yeah, it's what's that? No, you're right. You're right. There weren't, and there should have been, but the reality is not that. Mm-hmm. That is just not how things are. But and you can't change it. And I told him it wasn't his fault. Like I felt good that he felt bad, but I told him that it wasn't his fault because there's nothing he could have done to stop that or change it. But that he could do some good with what he had. Because we can do some serious good if we put our minds to it. In fact, I might even argue that we can do more good. We are in a position to do better than anyone else. We're not just stronger and faster and more durable. We're not just fairy tanks. We have a level of understanding that humans don't have. And we see things that they don't, and we can help in ways that they can't. And we have an understanding that can help them reach an understanding.
Okay.
And we can do a tremendous amount of good. We can make such a huge amount of progress if we focused on that. And maybe I should learn my own lesson, less on each other. Because, like, do believe there is a place in this world. I mean, we were talking about it earlier. Humans are of Gaia.
Mhm.
Might be the Weaver's friends, but they're of Gaia. The same as everyone else. And there is absolutely a place in the world's heart for them as well. Even if we're a bit tight on space. And to be honest, I think it could get a lot worse. Like, some people think it's bad now. It could be a lot worse than they imagine it to be. I'm surprised that is the chief complaint. But hey, we work with what we've got, and we've got a lot of people. And I think that's a good thing.
Mhm.
A lot of hearts to sway, but also means a lot of people on your side. And a lot of friends and family as well. Also, can I just say you pissed me off?
When?
He smiles. How does Double Tap react to that?
Double Tap is taking this all in because he's trying to figure out what the cub wants.
Yeah.
Not in a like tell me what you want and get out sort of way, but in like you're raising a lot of points, but you're not getting to the point.
It's the time where he does. Because I guess there's been a very roundabout way of getting to this. I guess I didn't.
He smiles. I don't expect. I expected this to be 2/3 vent session, 1/3 getting to your actual point.
I mean, I had a lot of points. So, I mean, I got to some of them.
He smiles. It certainly did. I see nothing wrong with what you're saying so far, though. You seem to be speaking sense.
Maybe I'm just really good at interviews. I did do this. Half the reason I did rant on as long as I did was to just give myself enough time to filter through my words. So, yeah.
In these walls, you can be yourself, man. Don't worry about it.
I guess it's because I saw you when you first came in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably a good thing that is the worst introduction I've seen yet. That you only got threaded. You
fast track.
Sorry.
When one has been fast tracked and told that they are told that they are in some ways holding up a great responsibility, we don't learn the social niceties the way some do. Not that this is anyone's fault.
No. You kind of came in and you said a lot of things. Would I be right in saying you're fairly idealistic?
Incredibly. But under that idealism is a pragmatism that comes from living a very hard life. Watching friends and soldiers die.
Well, I think I agree with you on a lot of those things, as I've already said. But how to put this? I feel like, because, I'm not perfect, I'm not pretending I'm false or anything, or that my perspective is incorrect, but I feel like you haven't done yourself any favors.
Oh, I've done myself absolutely no favors. I know that now.
Yeah, I feel like you've perhaps been pushing and you've been pushing hard, and I respect that, but I feel like it's been maybe in the incorrect direction. Or maybe it's not been moving the block as far along as either of us would like.
He nods.
Because we are carrying boulders up mountains, and that's kind of hard, but there are ways we can make it easier for ourselves. I think, actually, I guess to get the point across a bit easier, I'll just point to a specific example. I guess it would help us understand. And it's not going to be particularly pleasant. Stonecloth rolled. That happened. Now, that was William's fault, because he shouldn't have made that dumb joke. And now, I'll admit, I'm still a little bit pissed off that you're playing Pokemon Go in front of a wolf that was quite clearly horribly abused by people. But, this... if William had made that joke, it wouldn't have been an issue. So... But when she froled, you apologized, and she almost killed you. That wasn't helping or accomplishing what we needed to do. At least not in that moment. This is a bit of a short-term example for obvious reasons. It's kind of why I wrestled her to the ground and shifted extreme fast, because I did, well, as much as I think some people in this sept don't like you, because I know people here who don't like me, I don't think they want either of us to die.
Not as such, no.
And I mean, that's just one example where I feel like you do something to try and push your agenda forward. Or you do what you think is right, but it's not achieving the outcome you're looking for. I guess it's almost an example of trying too hard.
A little.
Which I think is also kind of what pisses me off. Because I'm in a position where I can't try. So seeing you as much liberty to try as hard as you want, makes me a bit jealous. But I mean, it's a similar thing with Hotfix, right? As soon as that ended, he decided to make a political statement instead of taking what Mother Larissa said to heart.
He does that.
Yeah. And trust me, I'm not angry. I'm not really angry at you. I was pissed off at the time, but I mean, someone just fooled, and we were fighting each other. We were all going to be angry. But I'm still not over that. That was egregious.
Oh, his statement?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he embarrassed his own tribe and his own pack, and his alpha, and it basically ignored Mother Larissa, or took entirely the wrong point of view. But that's not really the point. That is something I'll sort out with Hotfix. And, well, I mean, you're his alpha, so now you know where I stand, so that's probably for the best.
Double Tap smiles.
I feel like you're trying harder than you are thinking.
I learned that lesson, Cub.
Good. So...
Did you come here to explain what I already know? And he just sort of cracks a smirk.
Well, I didn't initially come here to vent, and then it kind of became that. So, it happens.
Indeed.
I kind of came here to sort out how I feel, because I want us to help each other. And it kind of sucks seeing you get kicked down for having a different point of view. Which I conveniently agree with, but that doesn't really matter too much to me. It's the fact that you have a different point of view and they're just kicking you down because of it. Which is kind of I mean, it's not a free society, but that doesn't mean it's not as dickish as it would be if it wasn't. If it was, sorry. It's still an asshole thing to do.
Let me ask you a question. What tribe do you intend to pledge to?
Silver Fangs.
You know the difference between the Silver Fangs and the Glasswalkers? From what I've seen.
Oh, go ahead.
The Silver Fangs have a certain amount of political respect because they support the old ways. They support the grunting and the snarling and the biting, as opposed to using what I would personally consider better techniques to get their point across. I do not fault them. Not for a moment. Because that is how you keep political power. You court the conservatives until you see a reason not to. And they have no reason not to. What I find in you is far more akin to the Glasswalker spirit. You want to change things. You want to make things better. You want to create balance and a certain amount of fairness. And believe me, I find those goals laudable as hell. But I'll tell you this. You doing that will make far more enemies than me trying it.
Oh, I had a chat with that about, with several people at this point. I'm aware that, I mean, being a Silver Fang means I'm going to be shouldering a bit more than most. I mean, my whole rite of passage has me leading a bunch of cubs into a pretty strong bane near Avalon. And that means if I screw up, all those cubs are never going to have a rite of passage. And yeah, and me being in that position of modernism is going to make things even trickier. But I don't disagree with all of the old ways. I feel like sometimes people forget that tradition does exist for a reason. Some of them don't stand the test of time, but also a lot of them do. And a lot of aspects of the old ways I can respect. Especially within the time zone they're created within, especially since that so many of them have actually managed to, I wouldn't say remain timeless, because I'm not sure anything is. Because that's not something you can ever really prove. But they definitely have lasted this long. And I think part of it is that a lot of the time people twist a vision to suit their own. So we don't really get to see the old ways for what they are, because everyone interprets them entirely differently. Because everyone has their own old way.
Well, the Glasswalkers generally don't, but we generally don't have respect for tradition in the same way.
Well, yeah, I would say you're perhaps an exception to the rule in that regard.
I do have a certain amount of respect for the old ways.
They definitely deserve to at least be acknowledged.
Exactly.
And, well, I guess it depends on what you mean by old way, really. Because, again, everyone has their own one. When we're referring to the litany, well, no one's really going to be breaking that. Everyone has their own interpretation, but I think everyone's fairly on the level here as to what each part of the litany means. I've seen people A couple of people try to enforce the lenity, and it seems fairly standardized here, which makes my job a bit easier. Makes your job a bit easier, I guess, as well. But yeah, I do see a certain sense of I mean, the obvious one is a bit of technophobia. I don't really care about that all that much. We're surrounded by a city. There's a certain level of adaptation required there, even if I wasn't comfortable with technology. It's the same thing I did when I became a guru. The reason I spent so much time in my war form was because I have to change, because I'm not the same person I was. And it's simple. I need to discover this other aspect of myself and learn what it is and how to use it properly. Because otherwise I'm really doing not just everyone else a disservice, but myself as well. Because I'm literally rejecting a part of myself. And, you know, I ain't gonna sulk or whine about that, because it is what it is. And I guess maybe that's unfair. I like it, so I don't wish it were different. You know, I want to see the world for what it could be, not for what it is now.
Okay.
It's why I'm here, because I want to figure out how we can do that. It kind of shifts his hands like back and forth between you and him, obviously. Kind of, you know, gesturing as to emphasize that aspect.
Cub, I am not sure what you think is going on here, but you and I have no grievance. Yes, I've pissed you off. I piss a lot of people off.
It could have been worse.
It could have indeed been worse. So the reason why I say that we have no grievance is because I feel that in some ways you were correct. I will never fault a man for being right. But one of the things I dearly hope you take into your rite of passage is that I will always fault a man for being sloppy.
Oh, yeah. I can totally understand that. Don't worry, I agree with you on that. I think you'll be happy to know that we're not going in unprepared.
We'll hopefully be rattling Avalon's cages ourselves eventually.
I'm hoping to time it so that it gives the Striders an opening. I'm a bit tired of having a city work against us. I guess you could say to get to the point. I guess I was here to see how we could have the city work for us instead of against us. A bit late because we're heading over to the Amazon, but it might be wise to talk about it beforehand, because then we know what we do when we get back. Because things are going to be different when we get back.
Here's the humorous thing about that. The city is always going to be our adversary. 100%. So just take that in stride. Accept it. The city is not of the worm, obviously, but I do not balk when they call this city a scar. It is. Now, the way we work around that, at least traditionally within the Glasswalkers, is by being smarter than those who would hunt us. Our tribal edict is survival at all costs. We are not quite so haughty as, say, the Silverfangs or the Shadow Lords or any other tribe. And you notice him, reflexively, rub his chest when he says that. But the reason that we are not so haughty is because the Glasswalkers as a tribe have internalized a very simple truth. Our enemies are legion. Our enemies are everywhere. And the only thing that we can do to stop that, the only thing that we can do to beat them, is by being better, by being the best. there are my initial boasting, if you would call it that, when I came to this city came from a place of, well, in some cases, feeling legitimately better than some. Not all, but some. I've spent a lot of time and a lot of training having to prove myself. I've done what you're about to do. And the only thing that I can say either way is that we, I'm meaning you and I, have one task ahead of us. For completely different reasons, but one task. And that task is to be the fucking best. Not second best, not third best, the best. Because if we're not the best, and people come looking to us for leadership or advice or information, then, well, one, they'll go elsewhere, which, and two, they will see, or they will at least believe partially, that the resources of Gaia were wasted through us, I guess, through the creation of us. I'm not a big fan of that personally. When you're thinking about calls, you're thinking about smiles, you're wasting energy. Your energy is too precious to waste. You're fucking sober-fang. Your job, above all others, is to show us how it's done. With honor, with integrity, and with respect. And regardless of what failures you may perceive in me, I have that. I can fail. I don't want to fail, but I can. You don't have that right. And by birth or by blood, whatever, that's your lot. And you can either accept it and wear it with dignity, or you can run from it. I don't expect you to run. I can move very fast now that I actually know how to fucking move around in lupus form, and I will catch you. If I don't, Snowpaws will. Oh, Snowclaw will.
Stoneclaw? Yeah, I can see that.
Stoneclaw. Damn it! Why do I keep confusing those names? Oh,
Snowpaw. Snowpaw.
Snow best. Snow animal. There you go. Boom. Done.
Snow animal. Stone animal. Stone rock.
Stone animal. Snow animal. It's all the same to me. Anyway. This is going to be a burden on you. And I think, whether you know it or not, coming to me, in fact, was an act of seeking a certain amount of, let's not say, well, fuck it, maybe you were seeking out a certain amount of penance and a certain amount of removal of responsibility.
Removal of responsibility? No, I feel I'm not responsible for all of those deaths, but I damn well feel responsible for the ones that I took, so no. I understand
I'll tell you this.
Where I am.
I'll tell you this. When the first cub or the first soldier under your command dies, you will know grief more than you've ever known it. And when the first human has to die because the veil must be protected overall, you're going to know grief and you're going to know pain. the likes of which you've probably never seen so far. I absolve you in some ways of that. But hold on. Sorry, hold on. Okay, I'm coming in just a moment. I absolve you of that in some ways, but you have to. One of the reasons why looking into the eyes of the humans we've killed for the sake of what some might call convenience, but others might call security. One of the reasons that's so hard is because you don't yet understand how important the security of the Garou Nation is. You don't understand yet how much one mistake can cost us.
I understand that one mistake can cost us literally everything. Because I understand what's going to happen if humans do find out. I think that's part of why I'm so upset, but it is what it is. I can't change that, so there's a lot I feel I can change. There's a lot I feel we can change, but that's not something we're changing, especially not anywhere in the near future. That's just not on the cards.
I would definitely argue that in some ways and in some respects, you need to come to grips with people like Calls and people like Smiles, and you need to show them that you are a leader in every respect, so that when they say stupid shit like, "Oh, I will not weep over one human," you can then show them as a proper Silverfang why they must respect all Homid-born, just like we must respect all Lucas-born. You have that power. I will always be a new rod of them. You have a chance to be better. So be better.
That's the goal.
I'm going to leave you with this before I shoo you out of my house, because I have to go. But I'm actually thankful that you came. But know this. The only absolution we have is the absolution we take from the worm's jaws. Some of us are criminals, some of us are officers, some of us are kings, and some of us are fucking poor in the dirt. You have to find your peace in defeating our mutual enemy. You won't get it from me. You won't get it from the other Silverfangs. I'm pretty damn sure of that. But where you will get it is from winning. And I don't mean that in the grossest sense of the word. I mean that in proving your point through your actions and through your responsibility and the amount of things you're willing to shoulder.
He kind of just nods in agreement. Doesn't really have too much to add to that.
You are very. I know. I'm coming in a moment.
Like ready to go now.
I know. But once you learn that lesson, once you internalize that you don't need anybody's permission to be yourself, to be the best Garou there is, you will get so much further. I just want you...
Sorry, he just says he'll take that to heart and thanks.
We'll talk more later. I have to go for now. But just try to internalize that. You don't need their permission. And if they give you any sort of lip, well, challenge. The master of challenge is that way. And he smirks.
God, I hope I don't get into that mess. Anyway, I'll get out of here.
No problem, man. I will talk to you later.
See you around, man. Thanks for talking.
All good. And he smiles. All right, and I gotta go. So,
And the seed there.
Oh
Thank
yeah,
you, everybody,
Okay,
playing and watching. Yeah, let's go.
Bye.